White Sands National Park has one very unique attraction, the white sand dunes. We had two very different experiences over 2 days at the park. Stay tuned to find out what happened. Redesignated as a national park in 2020, White Sands National Park is the 62nd national park in the United States. It preserves the unique white sand dunes made from gypsum. There is only one road in the park, the 8-mile Dunes Drive. At first, the white sand is mixed with desert bushes, but the bushes quickly disappears and all you see is the bright white sand with distant mountains in the background. White Sands is surrounded by a missile range and the Holloman Air Force Base. Occasionally, the park is closed for up to 3 hours during missile tests, so be sure to check the park website for potential closures. This is an easy park to visit. You basically drive down Dunes Road and stop at various places to go for a hike. The hike ranges from the super easy Inter-Dunes Trail that is a short walk on an elevated broadwalk, to a hike as long as you want because you're free to go anywhere in the dunes. The sand is made of gypsum, a soft mineral that was deposited in an ancient sea. Gypsum breaks apart easily as water in its cracks freeze. These crystals eventually become small enough that they can be carried by the wind. It bounces along the surface and breaks down into smaller and smaller pieces, eventually becoming sand. One popular activity is sand sledding. You can buy the round discs at the park store for $25, and they allow you to sell it back to them for $5 store credit. The discs don't go as fast as the sledding on snow, but it can go pretty fast down a steep hill. The scenery is pretty consistent. The playa, Inter-Dunes, and the Dune nature trails have some vegetation. All other trails are hikes in the white sand. The trail markers help you stay oriented because it's easy to forget where the car is parked. You can go anywhere on the dunes, but be careful to keep at least one marker in sight so you don't get disoriented and lost. There isn't a lot of differences between the trails, so just get out of the car and hike to wherever you like, as long as you keep at least one trail marker in sight. Weather makes a huge difference in the visit experience. Midday during the summer is brutal. It gets well into the 90s with no shade. As the white sand reflects the sun, it is as bright as a sunny day after a huge snowfall. The scenery is like a huge snow pile, dazzling white for as far as eye can see. Needless to say, be sure to wear sunglasses, bring lots of water, and sunscreen. We were prepared with sunglasses, layer clothing, and sunscreen, but we were not prepared for that one thing we would encounter on the second day. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It really helps the channel to spread the word. We arrived at White Sands on a gorgeous, sunny, and calm October afternoon. The weather was perfect, with a temperature in the high 60s. The sand over here is very, very white. Unlike the gray sand dunes, which has got what I call the normal sand color, but this is so white, it looks like that we're walking in snow. And the brilliant sun reflects off of the white surface. And we're here at dusk, and the lighting is just beautiful. I can just imagine this being very bright and hot during the day. We finally made it to White Sands, and our first little hike of the day is the Playa Trail, which is a short little half-a-mile hike. And we're going to go see some fossilized remains. Our second stop at White Sands, we're doing all the easy ones first, is the Inter-Dunes Boardwalk. And they made this nice little boardwalk so that it's wheelchair accessible, and you don't have to work on soft sand, which really helps. It's a short little trail, and we're going to just go to the end and see what's down there. Our third activity at White Sands is the Dunes Nature Trail. You get a couple of steep climbs, round trip 1 mile. And we're doing this at sunset. The hope is that we're going to get some good stargazing after dark. Let's see if it works out. The sun was setting, the wind was calm, the temperature was very comfortable, and the landscape is unlike anything I've seen before. It was just perfect. I thought on a clear, moonless day, in the middle of a large pile of sand away from a big city, we would be able to see the Milky Way. We were very wrong. The nearby Holloman Air Force Base has bright runway lights, which is a huge source of light pollution. We saw some stars, but it was not nearly dark enough. If you're into stargazing, this is not the place. The hikes we did were excellent, and despite not being able to see the Milky Way, it was still fun to hang out on the white sand dunes until sunset. The park does close soon after sunset, so you can't just spend a lot of time hanging out after dark. This was a perfect start to the visit of our 60th park. The next day, however, will be very different. The forecast was for a windy day, and we thought we were mentally prepared for it until we weren't. We followed a snowplow as we drove deeper into the park on the second day. The road, initially of black asphalt, soon turned into packed white sand. Our first hike of the day is a backcountry camping trail. It's about a 2-mile trail, and we're here on a very windy day. Pretty windy day. But its weather is kind of warm, comfortable with just a sweatshirt. But it is windy, as you can hear. The wind created the hazy horizon as the sand blew as high as 100 feet into the air. Well, our first hike of the day, the backcountry loop trail. Well, as it turned out that we did not quite complete the whole loop. We went maybe a third of the way down and then decided to come back, primarily because it was just so windy. But it was still amazing because these sand dunes are not that tall, maybe 70 feet. You could see for quite a while, quite a long ways out. This is a little bit unlike the Great Sand Dunes, which has got much taller peaks. And every time you get on what you thought was a peak at Great Sand Dunes, there's another one behind it. But here, it's not so much. You can get on one of the taller dunes and be able to see a long ways. The first impression is it is bright. It is super bright. I think it'd be really hard on the eyes without sunglasses. And on a windy day like today, hats and even a hoodie is probably a really good idea. The sun here is relentless, obviously, because of on a sand dune there is no shade whatsoever. And we're here in October when it's about 60 degrees outside, and it's not so bad, but I can just imagine this being really unbearable in the summertime. We packed our usual Subway sandwich and had it at one of the picnic areas. Fortunately, the picnic benches had a windshield, so it was pretty pleasant. But notice all of the picnic benches faced in the same direction. The wind here are consistently coming out of the southwest.
It's like skiing.
Yeah. No wind, right?
No wind.
Was there wind up there?
Yes.
See, this is where you go to not have wind. We tried a couple other trails, like the Alkali Flat Trail, but aborted after getting sandblasted by the wind. The scenery was pretty much the same no matter which trail we were on, so we started to head back. On the way out, we stopped at the Dunes Nature Trail, where we stopped on the first night to try to stargaze. By this time, the wind died down a little, so it was tolerable. This trail is a loop around a ridge of sand dunes with vegetation, which attracts more animals. While miserable to hike the dunes in very windy conditions, I saw firsthand the strong force of the wind that smashed the gypsum into finer and finer pieces. We didn't get much hiking done, but still enjoyed the experience. White Sands National Park is unique and easy to visit. This is one of those places where you have to be there to truly experience it. You just can't appreciate how white the sand is from the pictures and the videos. Have you visited White Sands National Park? Leave a comment and let me know what you thought of the park. We are on our way to visit all the national parks in the United States. Follow along by hitting the subscribe button below. Hit the notification bell so you know when a new video is released. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video, and please share it with everybody that you know.